Hey, you guys, welcome back to the show. On today's episode, I want to introduce a new segment, you guys. And as you see from the title, today's episode is going to be called Flashback Fridays. And we're going to talk about the most iconic classic TV shows and movies. And as on today's episode, I want to get into one of America's most beloved, iconic, classic TV shows, The Golden Girls. You guys, The Golden Girls is an American sitcom that was created by Susan Harrison that aired on NBC from September 14, 1985 to May 9, 1992 with 7 seasons. 7 seasons, you guys, starting B. Arthur as Dorothy Spornack. We have Rue McClanahan as the loved, oversexed of the show. Blanche Devereaux. Honey, quiet as a cat, guys. I know a couple family members and people that is a Blanche Devereaux, but I digress. And next we have Betty White, who plays the dim-witted, naive Rose Nally, and my all-time favorite, Estelle Getty, who plays the character of Sophia Petrillo, who was the mother of the group, who kept it all together with her quick wit and her shady comeback. You guys, the show is about 4 elderly women who shared a home in Miami, Florida. And through the time of the show, the Golden Girls received most of several awards, you guys, during the time the show run. We talking about Primetime Emmy Awards. We talking about Golden Globe Awards. We talking about musicals, Emmy Awards, everything. This show was a staple in time from the pilot when it premiered in September 14, 1985, and the show ran all the way to May 9, 1992. The show has talked about so many things that wasn't talked about back in the 80s. I'm talking about same-sex marriages. I'm talking about hitting on racism and diversity, and all the topics that today, which open up a whole new generation for today. Because at that particular time, it was taboo to talk about and hit on certain topics. So let's talk about the characters. We're going to start with B. Arthur's character, Dorothy Spornack. She was a substitute teacher that was born in Brooklyn, New York, you guys, to Sicilian immigrants, Sophia and her father, Salvador. Dorothy became pregnant while still in high school, which result her to be married to Stanley Spornack, who plays by Herb Elderman, to the Gemini State baby. Stan and Dorothy divorced after 38 years when Stan left the marriage for a younger flight attendant. The marriage produced 2 children, Kay and Michael Spornack, and in the season finale episode, Dorothy marries Blanche's uncle, Lucas Hollingsworth, and located to Atlanta. If you guys remember, in season 1, episode 7, Dorothy is stated to be 55 years old. She's very practical, sarcastic, easily eager, and follow current events and frequently the brunt of jokes about her support of lack of attractiveness. And let's talk about, even though she is very sarcastic, Dorothy is very sarcastic, and she has to come back just like her mama Sophia. But there's time through the show where you see Blanche throws a lot of shade towards towards Dorothy because of her lack of attractiveness and getting the man, finding men, and you know. But like I said, at the end, she ended up getting married. So let's talk about and shift this to Bella White's character. No, who was played? Bella White. I'm sorry, plays Rose Nylund, who is an origin American from a small town of St. Olaf, Minnesota. Often naive and known for her humorous stories of life growing up in her hometown, Rose was happily married to her husband Charlie Nylund, with whom she had 5 children: daughters Kristen, Bridget, Gorna, and sons Adam and Charlie Jr. Okay. After her husband passed, Rose decides to move to Miami. She eventually finds work as a grief counselor, but later switches careers and becomes assistant to a consumer reporter who was known as Enrico Mares. I'm sorry, you guys, if I chopped that name. But he was at a local TV station. And then later down in the seasons, you guys, Rose became romantically involved with a college professor known as Miles Weber. As you remember, during season 6, I believe, it was revealed that Miles was in the witness protection plans from his past when he was working with a gangster who ended up actually faked his death and came to get Miles, you guys, to kill him. But throughout the series, their relationships continue. And briefly, in the sequel to the show, The Golden Palace, Rose and Miles kept their relationship up. If you guys want me to do a quick little rundown on the sequel, The Golden Palace, which was really nothing but one season, but the season was good also. That one season was good. I didn't understand why NBC didn't pick it up, but that was my sidebar. But back to the show, you guys. Let me know, comment down below. Do you want me to do a part 2 on the Golden Palace of the show? So, back to Rose, you guys. Rose was known for being sweet, kind-hearted, and very competitive, especially when it came to her sports. There was a scene in one of those seasons when Rose was paired with Blanche at the as a bowling partner, and Blanche don't know how to bowl, you guys. So Rose found out that Dorothy is a very good bowler. So she dumps Blanche for Rose, and she wanted to win so bad, to the point where everything ends up. She ended up losing both Blanche and Dorothy, and ended up becoming partners with Sophia. They ended up ending in the long haul at the end of the episode. But that was an example of her competitive nature. And throughout the season, you will see Rose's competitive nature, you guys. Many other jokes about Rose is focused on her perceived lack of intelligence. If you ever, in the show, Sophia really called Rose out on her lack of intelligence. They call her everything for with it to P-brain, you guys. So let's talk about Blanche Devereaux. Blanche Devereaux was a Southern belle who works in the art museum. So she was born into a wealthy family. Blanche grew up on a plantation outside of Atlanta, Georgia, prior to her relocating to Miami. And for those who are from Georgia, knew back in the day how raising on the plantation was, y'all know the history. I'm gonna say it like that. If you're from the South and and you live in Georgia like I do, you know the history of plantations. So you know where's Blanche's mindset when it comes to certain things. So I'm gonna keep going. While she lived with her husband George until his death, their marriage produced 6 children, daughters, Janet and Rebecca, who was also seen on the show. They had couple, there was a couple episodes of Blanche's daughters, Rebecca, which if you notice, they changed out the women that plays that character, because at one point in the early season, Rebecca came there as an overweight plus size model who was in a very toxic relationship with her boyfriend, who ends up proposing to her, but he was making very rude and disturbing things, comments about her weight, and her mom Blanche had tried her hardest not to speak up on it, because the last time she spoke up in her daughter's relationships or anything caused them to have a rift for years. But it got to the point that when Blanche really had spoken up and said something about her daughter and how this man was mistreating her, how he was verbally abusing her, putting her down, she didn't want to hear about it. But at the end of the episode, all in all, she ended up hearing her mom and ended up dumping her no good, verbal abusive, narcissistic man of a fiance, boy, whatever you want to call it. So then that's also was an episode of her daughter Janet that they also put on there. Janet was the daughter that had the little girl who came to visit, and their relationship was rocky also, because in the early episodes, you guys, her Blanche's relationship with her daughter Janet was rocky due to her husband and who her husband was, and Blanche not being there for her and her siblings when she was growing up. So they ended up writing her character in, and they ended up getting close with her youngest daughters. And they also, of course, Blanche also has sons, Doug, Biff, Skippy, and Matthew, which they never put in the show, but okay. As a widow, Blanche is portrayed as a self-absorbed and man-hungry, and yet, after her husband passes, she's still stuck on her side of the bed and left his empty. So if you remember, in I believe it was season 4, where Blanche she was having dreams on Valentine's Day about this mystery man that was sending her flowers, and come to find out it was her husband. And he came to her, and she couldn't believe he wasn't dead, and he lied about his death, and why did you do this to me, and all these things. But come to find out that it was all a dream, and she ended up actually hugging him, because when her husband George died, she wasn't there. When he passed, she got the phone call from the officer saying that he died. A truck hit him and he was gone. So to have that acknowledgement of that dream of hugging her husband and feeling him for the last time in her dream meant a lot to her. Also, Blanche also had 2 sisters, Virginia and Charmaine, and a younger brother, Clayton. Okay, so you guys, the definition of sister rival was really about those characters, those 2 sisters in Blanche, because the show also written them in Virginia and Blanche had that altercation over a boy who I guess Virginia was talking to him when they were younger. This is not when they were younger, and she was upset because Blanche slept with him, and she didn't get over the fact that that Virginia was so in love with him that she couldn't forgive Blanche, and Blanche took her sweater, and Virginia so upset that she took Blanche's sweater, and she her favorite sweater at that, you guys, and ruined her sweater. So basically, it's pettiness for teenagers, and they grown women in their 50s still feeling some type of way about the whole things that happened when they was younger. And then we have Charmaine. Charmaine comes into the picture, and she wants a kidney from Blanche. This is like season 1. She comes in, they arguing pettiness. Charmaine says she over it because she needs a kidney. And Blanche is stunned, She don't understand, she can't believe her big sister needs a kidney, and she's going through this process and disease and not tell her. So Blanche is going through the decision to do she want to give her sister a kidney or not. So during that particular episode, she sits and talks to the girls and asks should she do it and get their opinion about the situation. But comes to the end of the episode, she didn't end up giving the kidney to Charmaine because she had another donor, and Blanche is relieved. And let's talk about Blanche's younger brother, Clayton. Clayton came over there, came on the show around season 3. I could be wrong, don't quote me. He came on the show to actually spend time with his sister, but during that time, Blanche found out his secret, which was around the time during this particular, in the 80s, early 90s, LGBTQA plus, Lord, I hope I said that right, communities was taboo. It was very taboo. So when he came on the show, Blanche set him up for a date, and he ended up telling the lady that he didn't want to go because he knew in his heart that he was gay. So around the time Rose sees him in the park, and she have a conversation with him, and she finds out his secret that he is gay, and she pushes him to tell his sister Blanche his truth. Live in your truth, tell your sister. But Clayton gets in front of Blanche and chokes and lies to say that he slept with Rose, which caused Rose and Blanche to have a heated argument, and they'll get upset with each other. And at the end of that episode, Blanche ended up finding out the truth. She had to apologize to Rose and tell Rose she's sorry. She said she loves her brother. She accepted him as he is. And they moved on. And Clayton ended up comes back with his fiance, the policeman, honey. And when I tell you Blanche had a fit when she found out, like when they went to the gala for Rose to be accepted for award, and they went out, Clayton and his fiance went out for an award, and baby, Blanche was so freaking, she was can you just say she was embarrassed? She was shamed. She didn't want people to know her brother was gay. She started a spectacle saying it was a fire when one of her friends asked who her brother's friend company was, and that gave them a rift into their relationship. But at the end, they end up breaking on and moving on. And last but not least, Sophia Petrillo. Sophia is Dorothy's mother, who was born in Sicily. Sophia moved to New York after fleeing an arranged marriage to Giulio Sparelli. She married Salvador, with whom she had 3 children, Dorothy, Gloria, and Phil. And for those who watch the show, have you noticed how they talked about her son Phil because he was, what's the word? I don't want to offend anyone. He's not trans. He was. Comment down below. What's for those who watch the show? Phil he wasn't trans. He was. You guys, I can't think of the word. Comment down below. If you listen to this or watching this on YouTube, I want you guys to comment down below. What was Phil's not pronouns? Well, they said in the show that he was a cross-dresser. I know that's offensive. I'm sorry, you guys, but this is in the 80s. That's what they call his character. So where is it called when a man dresses in women clothing? Please comment down below and let me know. They call him a cross-dresser, but Phil ended up later down in the season dies of a heart attack. Intentionally, Phil was a resident of Shady Pines Retirement Home after having a stroke that ended up starting the series, was part of the pilot episode, you guys. She moves in with Blanche, Rose, and Dorothy and found a fire at the Shady Pines, you guys, at Shady Pines. Sophia is portrayed as a quick-witted, straight talker and a great cook. You guys, I didn't want to make this video long, but you guys, comment down below. If you're watching on YouTube, comment down below what was your favorite show or episode about this show. Tell me, you guys, what you think about it. Do you still watch it? Because it's still in reruns to this day. It's even on streaming platforms. So you guys, don't forget to like this video, comment down below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Follow your girl. Let me know how you feel about the content to continue to grow. Just please, you guys, subscribe. Press the subscribe button. Come on, I see y'all over here looking and shacking up with me. Just come on, and I'm telling you, we fun over here. And I will see you, and don't forget to cut on your notification bells. So when I upload a video, you guys will get it each and every time. So I see you guys in the next video. Holla.